We are joined by David Meltzer. David, it's so nice to see you today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. So grateful for the opportunity to hopefully inspire other people by using your tremendous engaged following of all the people who love you. And I'm one of those people as well.
And I'm one of those people as well, right here looking back at you. And I love one of the things on your profile, one of the things you talk about a lot, is your life mission is to empower over 1 billion people. Let's talk about that mission.
Yeah, it was almost embarrassing to think that that's my life's mission, to empower over 1 billion people to be happy and abundant. And I think those are the two things that I can empower people with. And it's a great mindset as well as a heart set. But giving the practical guide, in theory, it's great. There's a lot of people around going, oh, I want to make the world happy. I'm very pragmatic about it. So I'm looking for 1,000 people like you who I know can empower 1,000 to empower 1,000. See, 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. So I'm really only focused in on 1,000 people and going really deep with those 1,000 people to allow them to understand values and daily practices that can change the heart set and the mindset and give them the right directions to get it done.
Well, let's start with the first one that I want to talk with you about is daily practices. So it's basic, but it's so key important. What are your daily practices? And what do you suggest when people are coming forward to create a more thoughtful, mindful approach to their life?
Absolutely. I have 5 daily practices. So I'll pause between each of them so you can ask me questions. I have a bad habit of rambling through as if everyone has memorized these already. So to take and slow it down a little bit, my first daily practice is different than most people. Most people get lost in their why. I think they use why as an excuse. They either do things or don't things because quote unquote, they're passionate or they love to do it. I'm a firm believer in the what. So I believe the first daily practice is to take inventory of your what, know your what every day. And what I mean by that is think to yourself, what do I want personally today? What do I want experientially today? What do I want to give today? Meaning produce, service, salute, whatever it is, do I want to give to others? And then most importantly, the thing that most people have the biggest difficulty with, what do I want to receive? What do I want to receive today to allow it to come through me for others? And here's the key component of this daily practice. Don't be afraid of learning and growing and being a hypocrite. Too many people, they're so worried that, oh my gosh, I changed my mind. That's a good thing. That means you learned something. And it really frustrates me that people not only search for their why without knowing their what, but they're afraid to say that they've grown. They should be shouting from the top of the hill, I'm an idiot. Now I figured it out. Come join me so you don't have to be an idiot. I call that the dummy tax. So that's the first daily practice, knowing your what.
And I like the knowing your what as a theme through everything. You're right about the why. And a book that I read that really changed me was called That One Thing. And it really helped me. What is that one thing? And it also taught me the value of saying no. We clutter our day with so many little things. And are they bringing value to you? Are they bringing the value to someone else? Because again, we have to give every day. I try at least an hour a day, at least 5 days a week to be sure that I'm networking people that I know that I think would work well with other people. These are scenarios where I built trust and I think, this could be a great marriage. And there's a satisfaction in creating that in my day, creating that space to be sure that I'm still putting out energy that doesn't just directly benefit me, but it benefits the village in the whole.
That's
right? The whole, everyone.
And it's so beautiful.
And the why. The rushing around to be busy. I asked a friend of mine the other day, are you working smart or are you working hard? It's a question I ask myself a lot because if you're working hard, you might need to say no to a couple more things or put them to a time where you have more freedom in your schedule. Do you agree with kind of looking at that
course.
That way?
Yeah, well, don't get so busy you forget to make money, right? That's the classic example of people that love to be active and not be focused on what they want and not knowing their what. Which leads me, to the easiest way to get what you want done is the second daily practice is to know your who. And I know a lot of people don't think about knowing your who because you have to institute radical humility to ask for help. And I know how difficult it has been for me to ask for help as successes have come. And I know for you, I'm sure it's been a difficult thing for a variety of different emotional reasons just to ask people for help. But the fastest way to get to where you want to be is to ask someone that's already there for directions. I can't make it more simple. Now, I'm going to give some pragmatic advice to people. They're always like, how do you know who or what? It's really simple. Just change your perspective of people on earth from being gatekeepers. No one's trying to stop you. There's a million Lisa Anns out there that are looking. My prayer when I wake up in the morning is, God, please give me at least 10 people I can help, because I look at everyone as a sponsor and a power sponsor in my life. So I used to think, because I'm a fairly good salesperson, I could oversell you, back end sell you, lie, manipulator, cheat. I'll go through you, around you. But now I'm with you. I'm collaborating in a sense of, hey, do you know anyone that could help me? And then I see people as either they can help me or they know someone that could help me. And this has changed the paradigm of knowing your who so that you don't have to pay the dummy tax. And so that's the second daily practice, aligned with what you're teaching as well, of being able not to be so busy. One thing you said too, you said, 5 days a week. I'm a 7-day-a-week person. I have activity I get paid for, activity I don't get paid for. I vacation 7 days a week, but I also have activity I get paid for 7 days a week too. I believe 2 minutes a day of anything is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right on that. And I like the who. I just started finding my comfort zone with asking for help. And it is the most fascinating experience because of course you want to find people you trust. So it's about building people around you that you trust, and then you can say, hey, I am looking for this. And it straightened out absolutely every action in my life, because not only have I asked for help, I've allowed that help to take part in my life in a role where my time may be more valuable doing something else other than my books. I finally hired a business manager in 2020, and it's completely changed my life with the complexities of incomes and things that come at different times in different ways, to not be doing receipts in January. And I realized this step has enabled me to have more time for others and have more time for myself, but I had to ask for help. And from there, it's just gone, where now before I take a moment and struggle, I will say, okay, who in my team might already be well equipped at this, even if it's a social media question, even if I know friends that have mastered YouTube or somebody that's mastered, I'm going to reach out. You realize your friends want to help you. They're happy that you've asked them to help you do something. So the who is very important, and that's building your circle of trust around you as well.
Absolutely. It changes your energy as well. So you go from a period of asking for help to an expectation of help, meaning that you have faith that everything surrounds you in benefit of you. And it changes your perspective of challenges, mistakes, and pain. Instead of being stop signs, they become turn signals to something better. Knowing and indicating an expectation is the next step between asking and truly allowing things to happen, which leads me to the very pragmatic, powerful third daily practice, knowing your how. So a lot of people say, well, how do you get this done? Well, for me, I believe how to get it done is understanding the mathematical equation of luck. How everything gets done in the universe is simply, one, you need to pay attention to it, right? You need to pay attention, but added to attention is intention. So you need to pay attention and think, say, do, especially do, and believe what it is that you want. And even more pragmatic, attention plus intention equals coincidence. So I am, blessed to be known as a very lucky person. If you met my wife, you would be like, oh my gosh, he is the lucky, and my kids. But I pay attention to and give intention to the coincidences I want. In fact, my wife is a coincidence that I want. I met her in the 4th grade, threw an egg at her at 6th grade camp because she won't go steady with me. And until I was 27, I got thrown into her, bumped into her in Mexico of all places. And so it's not a coincidence though. It's what I paid attention to and gave intention to for a period of time. But what do we utilize for this mathematical equation of luck? I use the calendar. See, I see my calendar as activity I have planned, activity I don't have planned, and my sleep. Probably one of the few people that talk about 2 routines, a regular routine and an adaptable routine with non-negotiables. One of my non-negotiables is sleep. My tomorrow starts today. It's one of the weirdo Dave Meltzer things that I have. But people are like, you wake up, my today starts at 9 p.m., but I don't wake up at 9. See, I believe in frequencies, and I believe that most people, they spend that day, like you said, so busy pushing a boulder to the top of the hill. And then when they wake up the next morning, it's at the bottom of the hill again with the same exact hill. Instead, what I do is at 9 p.m., I start unwinding from the highest frequency I have. No negative energy, no alcohol, no drugs, no arguments, no negative podcasts and books. Everything is just to allow my embodiment to recover as quickly as it can with no negativity, but also to set up my subconscious and unconscious mind to harness the great powers that I'm already connected to, the light, the love, and the lessons, so that when my eyes open at 4 a.m., I'm at my highest frequency. Then I use meditation not to get up. A lot of people will use it to find their center. I use it to transcend from the highest connectivity that I have into the pragmatic realm, so that I have a baseline to know when I'm not my higher self, when I'm not my best self, when I'm not expanding and growing and accelerating aligned with the universe, because the universe is expanding, accelerating, and growing at all times. And most people are not symbiotic to that. I utilize that part of my life in the know your how as the most essential part to determine the rest of the activity I have planned and the activity I don't have planned. Just have a lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. And I'm telling you, your manifestations, what you can achieve is insurmountable, limitless. You'll spend an instant between limitlessness and infinity.
Now, how many hours a night do you like to sleep?
So for me, it's between 5 and 7, because I have that unwinding routine. So sometimes, for example, this week we were filming my TV show. I maybe made it to 9:05 or 9:10. And one night I had to stay out past then, which is really fun because I will be at a dinner meeting unwinding at the table as, might finish at 11 o'clock. But I would say majority of the time, sometimes between 9 and 11, but I always wake up at 4 a.m.
Okay, no matter what time you go to sleep, that's your time. You already know that your peak is mornings. I'm the same way. That's when I'm the most effective. I'm a big believer in the mindset of falling asleep properly. That's when I start to do the same. And when you say disconnect, I disconnect from my technology, though I might have the television on, right? But I'm routine with some lavender oil and some candles, and I want to have, and my phone's also dim at 9 p.m. to remind me what time it is. Once you have that screen go a little dimmer, it just triggers with your mind. Oh yeah, that's right. It's this time. And it really makes a difference in how well you fall asleep and how restful the hours are that you're getting. So I think sleep is really undervalued. I think recovery, we hear athletes talk about it, we don't hear other people talking about it. And sleep is very important to me as well. I get up by 5, so not like 4, but but ideally I like to be asleep by 10 p.m. I mean, if I can sneak a 9 p.m. once in a while, I'll wake up on my own around 4:30 before my alarm, but I just enjoy, that's when I'm getting my best sleep. The 1 or 2 nights, like you said, you're out for a late dinner, make it work. You get it, but recovery is important, and how you go to bed is important. Not taking your laptop into your bed, not taking your phones into your bed. That should be a space that is recovery and relaxing. That should be a space. My rule is my computer's never walked into my bedroom. If I have to be on it, it just won't go in there. It's just not a thing. So now we're moving on to, we've got what, who, and how. Number 4.
Number 4 is easy. And I will add one little thing just to help people have an adaptable routine as well, because I always say, if you want to make God laugh, come up with a well-developed plan. So for me, it's just a minimum of an hour on my health, a minimum of time with my family, a minimum of time in the activity I get paid, a student in the calendar, etc. So every day I'm involved, but I find that it takes so much pressure off of me to know that I have an adaptable routine. When I do have a late night dinner, or someone comes to town I wasn't expecting, I don't have that resentment, that resistance that occurs.
Sure.
The 4th.
It's fun once in a while to break the norm that you normally have. I find it fun. So that's like, I got home at 11:30. This is kind of fun.
Exactly. I don't feel old.
For a couple more weeks.
Yeah, I don't feel as old.
Yeah.
I wake up where I used to go to bed. That's the best nuance of my life.
So
but
true.
The 4th.
I used to still be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I'm like,
I'm with you. 4th daily practice. This is an easy one. Know your now. And what used to confuse me as I went through my own transformation, my own quantum shift that I call it, is people would talk about, Dave, you need to be present. And I never really got that in the pragmatic sense. It seemed very woo-woo to be present. And I was looking for like some sort of time continuum that I was missing out on or trying to figure out. I started studying, Einstein and Planck and all these amazing physics guys. And I'm like, not really getting it until I realized one thing. To be present is to act present. What does that mean? To do things now. 100% of the things I do now get done. And that made a huge difference in my life. And in order to get things done, all I needed to do was use the daily practices that I put before the do it now, which is know my what, know my who, and know my how, and then prioritize by what's important. So if something should happen, I say to myself, can I do it now? And if I can, according to my values and my importance versus urgency, which Roosevelt wrote about years ago, there's a matrix, importance versus urgency, I do it now. But if I can't do it now, then it goes into later in the day or later in the week or later in the month, according to its priority or importance. 100% of the things you do now get done. The difference between people who are passionate, purposeful, and profitable is they get stuff done. No one gets more done than Elon Musk. And it's no surprise to me that he's the richest man on earth at times. Him and Bezos, they both get a lot done. Yeah, but they get a lot done. And I have prided myself to be productive, accessible, and gracious with my time and make sure that I get a lot done by doing things now and being present.
It's about getting things done and staying focused on it and knowing once you go through, like you said, the what, the who, the how. I don't know, are you a list writer? Because I kind of block out my day the night before. It helps me relax. It's part of my last process in my office. I like to clean my desk. I like to put everything away. I have a list. And it starts with the time that I'm going to the gym, all the way to calls that I have. And it also will allow, there's room here. If it's going to be nice out, I'll go outside for a 30-minute walk. I'm trying to, because yes, you could use that time to go through more emails, but that wasn't on the list that I designed from the day before. So I know that it's important also to get out there and get a break. Because I'm refreshed when I get back, and I will come back and get more done after I take a step away and just listen to a podcast or listen to some music and get a walk.
Yeah, that's my vacation every day, even if it's 2 minutes of vacation. I always say I have a 55 Ford Thunderbird and I live close to PCH. And, even if it's a 15-minute ride, right? And I literally will drive back in and say, I feel like I just was on, in Cuba with my old car driving the island. And I am now totally refreshed and I get a few more hours of productivity when I may have hit a wall. And I think that's so important. I think another thing that's important about lists is that I always tell people, not only do you want to list, but most people who list are what I call repository people. They have a repository to keep ideas. We give ourselves too much credit for remembering things. So lists are great because it's a repository of action items that we want to get done. But so are lessons. And I tell people all the time, reposit your lessons. So many times we go to extraordinary things, Lisa, and we get to meet extraordinary people, but we don't reposit even one lesson. I'm telling you, and I don't mean to embarrass anyone, but sometimes people say, oh my gosh, I loved that speech. You changed my life. And I said, really? What lesson did you learn? Right? I can't remember. I'm going to text yourself. I have, if something comes to my mind.
Notes in my phone. I'm constantly putting notes in my phone because it's easier than having scraps of paper or a notebook, right? And you also will go through those notes and kind of compile them together. But if you're thinking something strong, don't panic yourself to go and run and find a pen. Just put a note in your phone.
Yeah. Or text someone that really loves you. Text someone that really loves you because it still sticks in your phone. And then you'll get communication back going, what is this? And then you can tell them, oh, you're my note taker. For example, if things come to you really early in the morning or there's some circumstance where you don't have time to get the notes open, whoever's first on my phone text, I'll just text them what I'm thinking. And what's cool is it causes the universe to allow me to have a certain conversation. So I end up with some other business development opportunity because I, texted, be more interested than interesting. And the person's like, what? Use whatever tools you have to be as efficient as you can, but make sure you have a repository so that you can be humble about the capabilities we have. I always say our senses are weak. seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, remembering. We're so weak at it, but we have all these tools that allow us to be really strong at it. So use the tools.
I also tell my friends, like, hey, listen, don't write anything down on the list that you could actually do right now. Now there's some people I don't email in the evenings or weekends because they have families. I'm trying to be very mindful of respecting everyone's space, especially since we've been in this home world. I have friends that they're busy Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So we text in the evenings, we FaceTime on the weekends. It's helpful. You're not distracting someone. But there are little things that you'll sometimes put on a list that you could just do right now, like call and make a dentist appointment. No, don't write it down. Call right now. Take action, because writing it down, it's going to be something you're procrastinating. So my rule is, if it takes less than 5 minutes to do it, I won't write it down. I'll just do it.
That's to do it now. So you're already on the daily practices. No wonder you have such an expansion in your life.
So number 5.
Last but not least, my favorite practice. Well, it's know your why, but it's in a little different realm. I believe we already have our why. That our why is the fact that we are connected to everyone and everything. That we live in a world of more than enough. We don't live in a world as victims of not enough, where things happen to us. I no longer work or live in the world of just enough, where I buy things I don't need to impress people I don't even like. And I know you've lived in that world with me for a little while. But if you truly want to practice these things, you need to understand you already are healthy, you already are wealthy, and you already are happy. You just need to determine what you're doing to interfere with it. And it's a complete shift in a paradigm. Instead of going to get health and wealth and happiness, you don't have to get it. It's already yours. And it's there to come through you to give to other people as well, because there is no branches to this tree. Everyone's connected. We are all connected. We are here with and for and through each other. And so for me, I create a 4-step practice that allows me, or remember. Think about these words, what they mean. Remind. That means there's one mind and we're bringing it together. Remember, we're coming together. So for me, there's 4 things to do. 1, we have to learn to identify what we're afraid of. And there's only 2 types of fear. There's primal fears that are innate in our being. Freud talks about them all the time. Flight, feed, fight, or the other F word that means procreate. And then there's the secondary ones. And those are, the ones that waste our lives away and ruins our relationships and wastes our money. The need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be separate, the need to be inferior, the need to be superior, the need to be angry, frustrated, angry, worried, guilty, resentful. So I make a practice of identifying first when I'm in one of these ego-based consciousness, one of interfering consciousness.
The word ego encircled it as you were saying that.
That's it, man. Edging goodness out of your life. But then here's where everyone makes the mistake. A lot of people eventually will figure out an ego-based emotion, especially like anger and frustration, worry. I love Sharon Lecter. Worrying is just wishing for what you don't want. I wasted so much.
I was taught as a young girl, worrying's like sitting on a rocking chair. You just go back and forth, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
Exactly. And I wasted so much of my life. But most people try to resist it. They try to go over it, under it, through it, around it. And they think they're in control. Where I've really advanced in this idea of interference is I simply stop. Instead of accelerating in the wrong direction, trying to resist what I can't, I just stop for a minute. And that's when it's so important, that unwinding routine into my meditation, my baseline, plateau and grow, no longer the myth of Sisyphus. I simply stop, breathe, and I try to find that place that I woke up to, that place, that higher self, that peaceful place with gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability, love, light, and lessons. And once I'm in that place, I now can roll in the right direction. So the story that I tell is, my mom has always said, if you catch on fire, you need to stop, drop, and roll. So when you're an ego, your mind, your body, and your soul, they're all on fire. Yeah. So learn to be a ferocious Buddha, stop, drop, and roll. And if you do this, you will have so much more energy. You will leverage the law of gravity, which says this: I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. My feet are on the ground. I'm happy where I'm at. The law of Goya, get off your ass. I'm going to do everything I can with the desire that I must be what I can be. I'm going to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of my potential. And then finally, the law of attraction. I have faith that no matter what, I'm going to end up somewhere better, in a better situation, or making my own self better without a doubt. And so those three laws aggregate together into allowing yourself to be abundant in a world of more than enough, and most importantly, happy.
I love all of it. And these are really easy for things to follow and think about, but it does take steps and it does take understanding. And having conversations with ourselves can be some of the greatest conversations, because when you feel yourself landing in that spot of ego, it is okay to sit down and say to yourself, this is what I'm feeling and why. Maybe you put your feet up for 5 minutes, turn on a music. So I find music can be very soothing and kind of transcends you back into a better place, but you do have to stop and you have to pull away from your computer, your phone, stop responding to people and respond to yourself and put yourself first for this conversation, because that 5 minutes can get you back on track. But without it, you can be filled with self-doubt for the rest of the day. You're doubting yourself, you're doubting yourself. So I find there's moments and something will hit me and I'll sit down and just, okay, so what are we feeling today? Like, what's this all about? Like, how are we going to get past this? So how do you want to talk? Where did this stem from? And so I have this little back and forth, and then I tell myself things that I'm thankful for, whether it's a meal that I made, taking care of myself. We don't thank ourselves enough for just taking care of ourselves. And if you live alone like I do, you're on your own, it's important to walk around on a daily basis and thank yourself when nobody else is.
That's so beautiful. And I think it's important to remember, when you're looking outside and you're not seeing what you want, you can't see outside of us what we can't find inside of us. And what you just described was a perfect pragmatic methodology in order to effectuate being able to see what we want outside of us by finding it inside of us, utilizing breathing and music and sunshine and walking and all of the things. And it's only for minutes. You know, my objective in life is only to spend minutes and moments in interference or ego-based consciousness. I know that I can't give myself an egoectomy. I'm always going to have separation of some sort. But just make it faster. Figure out what for you puts you back to center quicker, so you can use all of that other wasted time to be productive, meaning providing value and service to others, to be accessible, meaning accessible to others, but also receiving, access what you want. And then most importantly to me, gratitude, to be gracious, to be able, the superpower that I've learned to have, I'm 53 years old, is that I can learn to love anything. I'm like the Viktor Frankl of life. I can learn dirty soup with a fish head in it. I can learn to love it because I've learned through gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability that I'm in spirit or inspired with everything around me. So I will find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything before I proceed. And that's the key for me to be able to spend minutes and moments where I don't want to be.